how do you describe what the show is about to, like, when people ask you, how do you describe what it's about, other than saying, well, here's what the plot is, right?
I say watch it. No, but I mean, it depends. If you have, like, 2 minutes, I tried to explain to people what it is, because it's not a simple show that you can sum up in a sentence, which I think is actually a good thing. I think that might scare certain people of how do you promote a show that you can't basically sum up in a sentence. And I'm sure I could. Basically, I could say it's the origin story of a Cylon, but I truly don't think that that's the only thing the show's about. It has a lot to do with society and how it's kind of a statement on it. It's not saying we're wrong or we're right in how we're dealing with things. It's basically showing an example of the human race having a lot more technology and imagination beyond the physical capability, and what happens with that, and the fact that we're so bombarded with information, which is a good and bad thing. We're so much more quick to learn things and be knowledgeable about things, but you're a lot more susceptible as a child to see things that you really shouldn't see, and I think children should be a lot more protected. And unfortunately, you can turn on the television, open a book, read a magazine, and so quickly you'll see images that I just think really young youth shouldn't see yet. And I feel like I was part of the generation that kind of was around the end of, like, you get to be a kid when you get to be a kid. And I was around the time when the internet was first discovered. Like, I think that's really cool that one day I hope I can say to my kids, we never had internet when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think about a lot of like the virtual world. It's very current, and that scares me. A lot of youth is exposed to so much sexuality, and that scares me. And I heard a study that at 3 years old, children are getting exposed to that subject. I mean, 3 years old, that's ridiculously early. And there's not really any way to stop it. And I think about it all the time, and I think how scary it would be to raise a child. And I don't know, it's really hard, because if you really think about all the subjects in Caprica, you can get really down, because you start to see how it relates to your life. And I think life imitates art, art imitates life all the time. And like you said, it's very current with the issues, and it's talking about, without being specific, it's talking about terrorism and religion and losing your way and having something to account for your decisions and your behaviors, and loss and grief and sadness and happiness and joy and emptiness and loneliness. It's just the human nature. And I feel like Caprica is just kind of a character piece in the fact that here's an example of just people. And people that aren't perfect, and people constantly making mistakes, but trying their best to fix situation, trying their best to be good people. But none of us are good all the time.
Right. What do you think about robots? I guess we're not there yet, but we're getting there very quickly, where robots are going to become.
And even in Battlestar, they had that robot at the last episode. I don't know. I really don't know how my feelings are about that. It scares me to think that we might actually have robots that talk like Cylons and might actually have personalities or respond to us. I love that the robots at one point are like, you know what, F you, where we have feelings and you can't make us do all these things you're expecting us to do. You're treating us like slaves. And obviously in a point in history and time in BSG, they fight back. They say no more to this. And that's really scary to imagine. We create an artificial life, and then all of a sudden they're like, we're gonna, take control of this, and we're gonna, basically destroy people because you treat us with no respect.
So it sounds like you were rooting for the Cylons.
I kind of am. I like the Cylons. I believe in the Cylons and having their rights.
Right. Okay.
I think they're people.
Haven't been as good as people were hoping. What are you kind of worried, or do you think? I was actually surprised. I just found out today that today's the mid-season.
Yeah, the finale.
And so, is it definitely coming back in the fall? Like, has it been?
Well, yeah. I mean, we have still the second half of season 1 to air,
Good.
and we're most definitely airing that.
So why? How come the ratings aren't up there?
I don't know. I wasn't shocked. Honestly, I wasn't expecting massive numbers, and I'm not disappointed by massive numbers. I kind of feel like it's a little secret, and like only a certain amount of people are in on it. And I, as a sequel or a prequel, I never expect as many people to show up to the party as they were to the original thing. And honestly, I think we stand alone, and I think we're a solid show. And if it really is a solid show, people will eventually come to it. People will watch the DVDs. And the thing is, I've liked shows that had sequels or prequels, and I've been very hesitant. So I understand. I don't know why I was really hesitant. I think I was just, people are scared of change. People are scared of the same thing. I don't mean to, but you sometimes want to judge something, and it's easier to hate on something.
So what is the secret though? What's the missing sauce? Is it like
in the fact that we're not higher ratings?
Yeah, is it time slot? Is there because there's less action? Maybe that's part of it.
I'm sure there's a couple reasons, like the fact that the Olympics were going on at the same time, and the fact that I don't think we found our niche and our heart. I think we really found the heart of BSG in episode 9. Like any show, the first season is usually not the strongest or the best season, but you honestly can't have season 1 without season 2, or you can't have season 2 without season 1. And there's a lot of shows that I tell people, like, honestly, get to the first season, but you need to watch the first season to understand how amazing the second season is. So I just think it's finding our feet and giving it allowance that the first half of it was really trying to find what we were trying to say, what the stories are, working out the kinks. And even BSG, they look back, and I know they talk about this a lot, is the first season was very rocky. It may not look like it now, but the first season they were not sure how they were shooting it, how they were going to tell stories, and then they eventually, by season 2, figured out what they were trying to do with the show. And I think with the second half of season 1, we've really found what we were trying to say, and what and why we're watching these characters, and what their missions are.